Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever looked in the mirror, adjusted your hair, and still felt like something was just off? Not wrong, not bad, just not you anymore. Here's the truth. Most women over 60 are never told. It's not your face that's changed in a way you can't fix. It's your hairstyle that hasn't changed with you. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix that. With 5 simple steps that can take years off your appearance without chasing trends or pretending to be someone you're not. And please, stay with me until the end, because step number 4 is where most women unknowingly age themselves. And once you see it, you won't unsee it. Step 1. Stop copying hairstyles that were meant for younger faces. Now I say this with love, because almost every woman has done this at some point without even realizing it. One of the biggest mistakes I see women make, especially after 60, is holding on to a hairstyle that once felt like them. The cut they wore to weddings, to work, to important moments in life. The one that got compliments. The one that made them feel confident. And over time, it quietly becomes part of their identity. So much so that changing it can feel like losing a piece of themselves. But here's the truth that rarely gets said out loud. What worked beautifully on your face 20 or 30 years ago was working with a completely different version of you. Back then, your skin had more natural firmness. Your facial contours were sharper without effort. Your hair likely had more density, more natural body, more resilience. So styles that were heavier, flatter, or more structured didn't weigh you down. They balanced you. But as time moves on, something subtle begins to shift. The face softens, the jawline becomes less defined, the cheeks change position ever so slightly, and your hair itself may become finer, a little drier, a little less willing to hold the same shape it once did so easily. And here's where the disconnect happens. The hairstyle stays the same, but the face it's framing has changed. So instead of enhancing your features, that same hairstyle can begin to work against them. Long, heavy layers can pull everything downward. Flat styles can make the face look more tired. Blunt edges can exaggerate areas you'd rather soften. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you. It's simply because the hairstyle hasn't evolved alongside you. This is where a small shift in mindset becomes incredibly powerful. Instead of asking, "What have I always liked?" or "What have I always done?" begin asking, "What actually suits me now? What lifts your face instead of dragging it down? What adds lightness instead of heaviness? What brings attention to your eyes, your smile, your expression?" Because the goal isn't to chase youth, it's to create harmony. And once your hairstyle starts working with your current features instead of against them, something almost magical happens. You don't look like a different person. You look like yourself again, just more refreshed, more aligned, more alive. Step 2. Choose volume in the right places, not everywhere. Now here's where things can get a little confusing. Because for years we've been told the same simple advice: add volume. And yes, volume does matter, but not in the way most people think. Because more volume is not always better, and in some cases it can actually age you faster. What matters isn't how much volume you have, it's where you place it. You see, as we get older, the natural structure of the face changes. There's often a gentle downward shift. Very normal, very human, but this means the eye is naturally drawn lower unless something redirects it, and your hairstyle has the power to do exactly that. When volume sits too low, around the ends of your hair near the shoulders, it creates a visual weight that pulls everything downward. It can make the neck look shorter, the jawline less defined, and the overall appearance feel heavier than it really is. But when volume is lifted slightly higher, around the crown, through the upper layers, it does the opposite. It gently lifts the eye upward. It creates the illusion of higher cheekbones, more open eyes, and a more balanced, energized appearance. And here's the part most women don't realize. You don't need big dramatic volume to achieve this effect. In fact, overly styled, overly puffed hair can feel dated and unnatural. It can look like you're trying too hard, and that's not the goal here. The goal is strategic softness, a little lift at the roots, a bit of movement through the mid-lengths, lightness at the ends instead of thickness. Think of it like this. Your hairstyle should feel like it's gently supporting your face from above, not dragging it from below. Even small adjustments, like changing where your layers start or adding subtle lift at the crown, can completely change the way your face is perceived. And the best part? When volume is placed correctly, everything looks effortless. You don't look like you've done your hair. You just look refreshed, brighter, lighter, more like yourself on your best day. And that's the kind of beauty that never goes out of style. Step 3. Soften the edges around your face. This is one of the most powerful and most overlooked changes you can make, and yet it's often the smallest shift that creates the biggest transformation. Because here's something that almost no one tells you directly. The lines in your hairstyle matter just as much as the style itself. The way your hair falls, the way it frames your face, the way it moves or sits still, these details all send subtle signals about softness, age, and vitality. And over time, many women unintentionally lean toward hairstyles that are too structured, too blunt, or too rigid. Straight lines, sharp edges, heavy defined cuts that look neat and tidy, but don't always reflect the softness that's naturally present in the face. And what happens then? Those sharper lines can create contrast that draws attention to areas you may not want highlighted. A blunt, heavy fringe can make the forehead appear more compressed. A straight, solid cut around the jawline can emphasize heaviness rather than soften it. Even overly precise, symmetrical styles can sometimes make the overall look feel a little stiff, like it's sitting on you rather than flowing with you. But when you introduce softness, everything changes. Soft layers that gently taper around the face, feathered edges that break up harsh lines, movement that allows the hair to fall naturally instead of sitting in a fixed position. These subtle shifts don't just change your hair, they change how your entire face is perceived. Because softness has a way of easing everything. It smooths transitions. It blends features. It creates a sense of flow that feels natural, warm, and inviting. Even something as simple as a slightly softer fringe, something that isn't too blunt, not too heavy, can make the face appear more open. Or adding gentle face framing pieces that curve and move instead of hanging straight down. That alone can lift and soften your entire look without making any dramatic changes. And here's the beautiful part. Softness isn't about hiding anything. It's not about trying to look younger or covering up who you are. It's about expressing who you are in a way that feels gentle, approachable, and alive. Because when your hairstyle moves with you, when it has flow, when it has lightness, it naturally brings out a sense of ease in your appearance. And that ease is incredibly powerful. It makes you look more relaxed, more confident, more comfortable in your own skin. And that's something no sharp cut or rigid style can ever truly replace. Step 4. Let go of length. That no longer serves you now. This is the one that many women feel deep in their heart, but hesitate to act on. Because length carries emotion. Long hair can represent identity, femininity, familiarity. It's often tied to memories of younger days, of compliments received, of moments where you felt most like yourself. So the idea of changing that, of letting go of length can feel less like a style decision and more like a personal shift in who you are, and that's exactly why this step can feel so difficult. But here's something important to understand. Letting go of length does not mean letting go of your femininity. It does not mean losing your identity. It does not mean becoming less you. In fact, when done thoughtfully, it can do the exact opposite. Because the truth is, long hair only enhances beauty when it's healthy, full, and moving with strength. But when hair becomes finer, a little thinner, a little more fragile with time, holding on to length can sometimes weigh everything down. The ends can appear sparse. The shape can lose definition. The overall effect can feel heavy or flat, even when you've put effort into styling it. And what happens then is subtle, but powerful. Instead of lifting your appearance, the length begins to pull attention downward. Instead of framing your face, it can elongate and overwhelm it. Instead of adding elegance, it can quietly create imbalance. But when you adjust the length, when you find a point that works with your current hair, you unlock something entirely different. You create shape again. You bring back movement. You allow your hair to sit in a way that feels light, intentional, and full of life. And it doesn't have to be drastic. It's not about going from long to extremely short overnight. It's about finding a length that supports your hair's natural density, your face shape, and your everyday lifestyle. For some women, that might be a mid-length cut that still allows for styling but removes excess weight. For others, it might be a shorter style that brings back bounce, volume, and structure. The exact length isn't the point. The fit is. And something incredible often happens when women make this change. They feel lighter, not just in how their hair looks, but in how they feel carrying it. They spend less time fighting with it, less time trying to make it behave, less time feeling frustrated when it doesn't sit right, and more time feeling in control, confident, refreshed, aligned with the woman they are today, not the version of themselves from years ago. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let go of what no longer supports you so you can finally step into what does. Step 5. Match your hair to your lifestyle, not an ideal version of you. Let's be honest for a moment, because this is where a lot of frustration quietly builds over time. There's the version of your hairstyle that you wish you could maintain, the one that looks perfect in the salon, holds its shape just right, behaves beautifully when it's freshly done. And then there's the version of your hairstyle that actually lives with you day in and day out. And the gap between those two? That's where most of the stress comes from. Because it's one thing to have a hairstyle that looks good for an hour. It's another thing entirely to have one that still feels good at 6 a.m., 2 p.m., and at the end of a long day. And this is where many women unknowingly set themselves up for disappointment. They choose a style based on how it looks in a photo, or how it looked years ago, or how it's supposed to look on someone else, without asking the most important question of all. How does this actually fit into my life? Because the truth is, the perfect hairstyle isn't just about appearance. It's about practicality. It's about how your hair behaves when you wake up, how much time you realistically want to spend styling it, how it responds to weather, humidity, and movement, how it holds up when you're busy, active, or simply living your normal day. A hairstyle that looks beautiful but requires constant maintenance, touch-ups, heat styling, products, and effort just to keep it in place. That kind of style can slowly drain your energy, not because it's bad, but because it's demanding. And over time, that constant effort can make you feel like your hair is something you have to manage, instead of something that works with you. But when your hairstyle aligns with your lifestyle, everything shifts. You begin to feel a sense of ease. Your hair still looks good even when you haven't spent an hour on it. It still falls into place even when you've just brushed it and walked out the door. It still gives you confidence even on the days you're not trying. And that's the kind of freedom most women are really looking for, even if they don't always say it out loud. Because confidence doesn't come from perfection. It doesn't come from spending more time, more effort, or more energy trying to make everything look flawless. It comes from consistency, from knowing that no matter what your day looks like, your hair isn't something you have to battle. It supports you. It fits into your routine. It moves with you instead of against you. And when that happens, something subtle but powerful begins to change. You stop worrying about whether your hair is perfect and start noticing how comfortable you feel in your own skin. And that comfort, that ease, that's what people actually see when they look at you. Not perfection, not effort, just a woman who feels like herself and looks completely at home in who she is.